Hello, my beautiful viewers on E360. How are you feeling today? I am feeling much better. I had a stomach uh, bug or actually food poisoning on Tuesday. Yesterday, my energy was slow and not a lot, but today I'm feeling much better. So I am truly so excited. I've got just gentlemen today in our session, and it's called Aurora's Embrace. What inspiration do you create for yourself? And through doing the action steps, through creating your dreams making it a reality. How many people are you inspiring in that process? Even if you say, Sanet, I stand up every morning and I make my bed, I will say, I am I'm so happy because if you can do small tasks, it will show your mind and your heart that you are up for bigger tasks. And my gentleman that's going to be here today is going to inspire your socks off. I cannot wait for you to meet them. I have my beautiful gentleman from Australia, Blaze. He is not feeling well. So thank you so much for letting me know. Get well soon, my beautiful Blaze. He's got a gentleman's group in Australia, or globally, but mostly in Australia. And I just love his accent. I love his sunniness around him. So I'm truly sorry that he cannot be here, but I will definitely make sure to bring him back again. And I'm not sure if Buddy will be able to join us as he's also not feeling very well. But my beautiful Ken, Dale, and Jose is going to be amazing, amazing. Talking about Jose, he is my sponsor of my Power Hour TV show. So I'm so thankful towards Jose. Thank you, Jose. And then if there's any of you that would love to sponsor not only the Power Hour, but also my other shows, please connect with me. I would love to have a talk with you. So, are you ready to hear what Jose has in store for us? Here we go.
Is Jose Escobar. I live in Washington, D.C. area. I'm a family man. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, author, and speaker. I have communities. I support people. I'm a servant leader, and the list goes on. And I'm primarily the CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. That's my bread and butter. That's my core offer, right? That's where I put most of my time and energy. And the Connected Leaders Academy is a growing community. It's a tribe of some of the highest level entrepreneurs from all over the world. We're now over 350 plus members, 42 states across the US, and 17 international countries. If you're an entrepreneur out there that's looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more money, more clients, right? This is the community for you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, my beautiful Jose. So, Ken and Dale, Jose is not yet in studio but as soon as he comes in, I will bring him in. So, if we can start. My beautiful Ken, can you please introduce yourself? But first of all, I would love to tell the viewers out there how I know you. So you are also from the CLA group, and we had a coffee chat. We had such an amazing time. We had a dance together on your Forever song, and you introduce and tell me how you changed the world, and it was truly inspiration. And this is now your third time that you are on the TV show, and I just today's show especially because you are inspiring so many around the world that there was no other one that I could say, please, can you join? So thank you so much, first of all, for everything that you are doing, creating and making the world a better place through your inspiration. So now, Ken, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for those kind words. It's wonderful to be back once again. And yes, my name's Kenneth Tard, and I'm the founder of Mindset Malta. as the name says, I am based on the island of Malta, bang in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, very tiny island, 120 square miles, and have been here for 45 years. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. Yet my parents are both Maltese, and this is how I find myself in Malta, and I truly love it here. And I love the fact that we're talking about inspiration today. I think it's such an amazing, inspiration is so powerful when someone can come from inspiration and actually learn how to receive inspiration and receive ideas, solutions, and learning how to do that and tapping into an energy that is far greater than what most people actually tap into. And when it boils down to it, what I do mostly and how I inspire is essentially, I help self-doubting entrepreneurs who feel like they're not good enough to actually escape the mindset of uncertainty. And using what I call my ARC method, a proprietary ARC method, they actually begin to discover the true power of mindset, and and essentially then begin to restore their inner worth, and that's guaranteed. And when I say their inner worth, it's really important that anybody listening here to understand and watching that their inner worth ultimately is never, ever, ever, ever compromised. It really doesn't matter what results you are getting in your life, whether right now you feel like you are potentially down in the dumps, or whether you are, sky high and things are extremely successful in certain aspects. Irrespective of what's going on in your life, your worthiness is never, ever compromised. And I think this is essential for individuals, entrepreneurs to understand so that they can carry on and move forward with their businesses, with their lives, and really have a whole life.
Wow, I love it. So, Dale, just wanted to let you know when I put my glasses on, I get goosebumps here at the back of my neck, and it goes all the way up. It means that what Ken have just said is profound. So, my beautiful Ken, thank you so much. My beautiful Dale, let me also tell the viewers out there how we met, and then I would also love you to introduce yourself and tell us what inspiration means for you. So Dale is also on the CLI group, and we also had a coffee chat. We had also a dance on Dale's Forever song. And Dale, I know that I said we're going to have more sessions towards the end, TV shows, but I am going to New Zealand. And when I started to look at this show, I decided there's no other person that I also would like to come that have inspired me, because the day that I've written in big letters, oh, Dale is an inspiration you won't believe. And I know I wrote it in, on my own notes, but you were inspiring me. And I'm so thankful how you inspiring the world. So thank you so much for your service. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us what inspiration means for you?
Well, sure. My name is Dale Young. I'm from the Fort Worth, Texas area. I'm a native Texan. I have been inspiring people for several years now. I started my coaching business in 2011, and the business name is Coach Dale because I managed to actually get the URL coachdale.com, and it's nice and simple, and I'm not going to give it up. That's one of those good ones that you got a long time ago, and I'm going to keep. But the thing is that I was on basically a 30-year journey, and that was about halfway through the journey, to look for something bigger, something more impactful, something that could make a bigger difference in the world. And through that process, and it was a long, busy, messy, weird process, but through that process, I arrived in 2022 with the word calling. And the word calling to me it encompasses purpose and mission and vision and values and a whole lot of other things. And I get the word calling from the Bible. You know, the thing in the Bible. There's a passage in the Bible that says the gifts and the calling of the Lord are irrevocable. And when I look at that, it means everybody's got it. He's not going to take it away. But what I get with that is he may not make it easy for you to just, it may not come to you on a silver platter. You may have to do some work to actually figure out what your calling is. And so in the work that I did, I think I have figured out how to help other people get to their calling. And so I have a process that I call the calling framework. It's got 4 keys in the calling framework, and those keys together, it takes that big concept called calling and splits it up into smaller pieces that people can work on individually. Once they get all those pieces individual, get some pieces there, pull it back together and get back to your calling. And I believe that when you find your calling and you actually start following your calling, that's when a lot of that power comes in. And I totally agree with Ken on the mindset issues. All of those issues have to get resolved one way or the other. He's got his process. I've got mine for doing that. But putting it all together, my process is basically figure out your calling, your purpose, your why. Why are you here on this earth at this point in time, with all the goodness and all the badness that happened to you? It all comes together, and there's nothing wasted. It all is going to help you be a better person.
Wow, I loved it. Thank you so much, my beautiful Dale. So, gentlemen, if I can ask you both this question, who is the one or two persons that have inspired you to investigate what you need to do or to serve others? So, Ken, if I can start with you.
Wow, people who have inspired me. Well, without a doubt, I definitely have to say, I'd have to say my parents, without a doubt, in various aspects. And when I say this, even up until recently, so 2 weeks ago, believe it or not, 2 weeks ago, I got a call from my mom who was actually having a stroke. She fell over, and let's make it really short. She's doing amazingly well. She's recovered, and we're talking about inspiration. Like, next day she's like, you know what? I want to get back to normal. Like the mentality, the mindset of saying, okay, I can get through this. If something has happened, but I can get through this. So without a doubt, and seeing my dad be there as a support and showing his love and all that, those without a doubt, inspiration, just phenomenal inspiration, considering up until the day before. And again, inspiration up to the day before, my dad's 85, mom's 82, very active, out walking, exercising. I almost say they go out more than I go out. So, so that definitely inspiration. Spirituality wise, without a doubt, there's so many speakers and authors and people I've listened to over the years. People who inspire me to this day are Esther Hicks, Joe Dispenza, Dr. David Hawkins. There's Dr. Wayne Dyer many years ago as well. I mean, there's so many, and I'd have to say Jesus Christ as well, because some of the stuff that the parables and the stuff that he said as well are absolutely on spot. And something that's been really inspirational for me in my in spirituality as well is something called A Course in Miracles, which I follow quite diligently, or do my best to, because we're learning as we go along. So those are some of the inspirations that have and I'll add one last thing as well. In its simplicity, really and truly, nowadays, it's all of the encounters that I have with people throughout the day, whether that's at the supermarket and just bumping into someone, the cashier, the person who's serving me somewhere in a restaurant. To me, those nowadays, I look at them and I do my utmost to look at it and say, how do these people actually do inspire me? Because they're going about their business. People are doing the best that they can do, and to me, that is a true inspiration on an everyday basis.
Wow, I love it. So I'm going to press this button. Are you ready? I got this. I got these two buttons in New York from a lady in the Diamond Beauties, and I cannot stop pressing the buttons because here in South Africa you don't get this. So I will be maybe use this a little bit later, but I'm gonna use it one more time for you, my beautiful Dale. Dale, who inspire you?
Oh gosh, there are so many. Just like Ken, there's so many people that inspire you. You can get inspiration from anywhere and everywhere. I'd say one of the people that inspired me fairly early in my coaching journey, even before I started down the coaching training path, was Rick Warren. He wrote The Purpose Driven Life and The Purpose Driven Church. And, the first sentence in the book of The Purpose Driven Life, it's not about you. It's about everybody. It's about God. It's about the world. It's about what you can do to serve people. And getting that mindset right was good for me. John Maxwell inspires me. Patrick Lencioni inspires me on the business side of things. One of my mentors that I really loved was Hugh Jones. And Hugh Jones, one of the first encounters I had with Hugh Jones, he'd come into this startup company that we had, and he came in and he was sitting in the back, and the rest of us were around the table, and we were all just arguing about this thing. I don't even remember what we were arguing about, but we were arguing, and he's listening to it, and there's just a tiny little pause, and he says, "Gentlemen," and it says about that loud, about whatever, "Gentlemen." And so everybody kind of, oh, that's a different voice, and kind of looks over. He says, "You're all in violent agreement." And it was kind of like, what? What does that mean, violent agreement? But it just kind of reset everything. And we all just kind of got back and said, oh, yeah, we are in agreement about the big picture. It's just about the details of what we're doing here. And it was just his clarity and his way of putting in just a few words to come along. He also told me, this was when I was getting into managing computer consultants. He also told me that management is just nothing more than adult daycare. And it was like one of those, yeah, in some ways it is. So, so there's, I got a lot of turn of phrases from Hugh Jones. But certainly I will end with one more, and that's my brother. My brother's 12 years older than I am. He was a Vietnam vet, and, heard multiple stories about his time in Vietnam. But it wasn't until just recently, like in the last 3 years or so, I started digging into what he had done, because I ran into this colonel that actually honors veterans. His name's Tim Cole. And so Tim Cole, he goes through this process of figuring out what veterans did. And then he'll come along and do a presentation with them. He comes in full dress Marine colonel uniform and presents everything to the people and everything. And we were getting my brother's medals together. And Tim says, ooh, this is the real deal. Number one, he's got a whole bunch. Okay. I mean, it's a great big display box of them. But number two, he was in the Army for 22 and a half years, and he got the Distinguished Flying Cross in the Army for saving a helicopter and saving 3 lives on that helicopter when it should have turned into, a little ball of metal type of thing. And so for him to have that, and he never mentioned it, he never bragged about it, anything like that. So it was kind of like, that inspires me to just go through your life and live your life and serve other people all the way through. That inspires me.
Wow, that's incredible. So this is to all the people that have inspired you, and I promise you I'm putting the button that side. I'm not going to use it again. So I really want to use the next button, easy. So my beautiful Ken, do you have a tip or two for people to be inspirational to others? Do you have a tip for them?
To be inspirational to others. I think first and foremost, if someone can be in an appreciative mode, and I sincerely mean that, this is, I mean, it is such a cliche, and we've heard it so often, how to begin your day simply with gratitude and appreciation. And I say this because it really can set the tone for the day. And inspiring people doesn't take a lot. And when I say it doesn't take a lot, it could be simply holding space to actually just listen to someone, just to listen to what potentially they're going through, not to solve it, not to find the solution for it, but actually to just hold the space for that. And that does take a bit of skill, in the sense of it's learning to actually take the time to actually listen to the person and not be ready to react or respond in any particular way. And I'm going to tie that in with simply being kind throughout the day. Make it an intention for the day. If you really want to inspire people, people are observing all the time. People are watching all the time. And potentially, yeah, even judging sometimes. Yet when you can just go throughout your day and have the intention of saying, whatever encounters I'm going to have today, I'm going to be kind about it. I'm going to be gentle about it. I'm going to be peaceful about it. Rather than, it's very easy. It's very easy to get upset very quickly and blame and react with people. Yet reminding yourself that, again, people are doing, for the most part, individuals are doing the best that they can do with what they have in at that point in time in their life. And sometimes, and this was a lesson I learned a little while ago as well. But do I have time for just a short story about this?
You
So I was
have.
okay. So and it ties in very nicely with this. You want to be inspirational. I was pulling up into a parking spot in front of a convenience store, which had like two parking spots in front of it because it's very quick. You go in, you come out. And when I pulled up to this parking spot, there happened to be a car that was parked right in the middle of this parking spot that was for two cars. So as I parked, I realized that part of my car was going to be out of this parking spot. So I got out of the car. The person was waiting in the car for someone who was inside. So I just went to the gentleman and I said, would you mind if you just moved your car forward a bit so that I can fit inside the parking area? And he turned to me and he said, no, I don't want to, which like took me by surprise. I was like I literally thought he was joking. I honestly thought he was joking when he said it, but he was serious. He says, no, I don't want to. I said, listen, I'd really appreciate it if you just move forward so I could. And he's like, no, I don't want to. He says, my wife's coming out in a couple of minutes and whatever. I said, okay. So I just went back to my car and I said, let me wait. But 5-6 minutes later, this person still hasn't appeared yet. So again, I got out of my car and I went to him and I actually asked, I said, listen, would you really, could you just move forward a tiny bit? And he sort of like huffed a bit and he said, okay. And he started his car. And honestly, he moved forward about this much. So he was just goofing around. Like he was just like, anyway, and I'm like, you got to be kidding, right? And I'm being honest. I was like, oh man, I was on the border of potentially losing it, not losing it in a big way, but I said, hold on. And then at one moment, and then this was the crucial point. He actually turned to me. He took a deep breath and he says, why are you doing this to me? Now I wasn't doing anything, but in that moment, I realized this guy was having a really bad day. He was just having a bad day. And the best thing that I could do was just let him have it and just be patient and just say, it's okay. Now, who knows how, do I know that I inspired someone or something like that? Not far from it. Yet this is, to me, this is how we can, this is what I'm talking about, just being that gentle so that, because potentially had I gone the other way, this could have exploded. It could have become me not realizing that he's having a really bad day. It could have just got really bad, worse for him, and he could have made it bad for me too, because he was a big guy in this little car. So it's being mindful, being aware of what's going on in your surroundings as well, and what's going on and what's happening with people, and just realizing people are doing the best that they can do with what they've got in that moment.
I love it. I want to press this button
That was easy.
That was easy. I have that button. I
Do you
have that
have it?
button too.
My son and the lady didn't notice there's different languages. And when I got home from America, he said, "Hi, Ma, this button can speak different languages." So I phoned her. I
Cool.
said, I didn't even see and she also didn't. So it was so surprised that she had the button for I don't know how many years, and then she gave me the button. My beautiful Dal, can you tell us, give us a tip or two for the viewers out there to to have that ability to inspire others?
Inspiring others is definitely a art and not a science. It's not something that you can say, do step one, do step two, do step three, you'll inspire people. But I agree with Ken that I think a lot of it starts with gratitude. Gratitude is my word of the year, as it turns out. And so you start with gratitude. And, whether you do it at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, you just put one or two or three things that you're grateful for. And that's a very first thing. And then kind of flowing off of Ken's story there, I think one of the things that we can all do is whenever we're getting into a situation where we're feeling a little bit tense, just take a deep breath. Matter of fact, take about 4 or 5 deep breaths, and just breathe in and hold it, and then breathe out, right? You do that 4 times in a row, things settle down in your nervous system really quickly, okay? And if you breathe in and think about something you're grateful for at the same time, it's like a multiplication effect, right? So breathe in and think about something you're grateful for. Even if you have to say, I am grateful that I can breathe in. If that's the only thing you can think about at that point, think about that, and your brain will reset. Once you get your brain reset, your brain makes you more human. The human part of the brain is the prefrontal cortex right up here, right? And it can go offline so easily that we don't notice it. Just like Ken was talking about in his story. It was offline with the gentleman he was encountering, and it was starting to go offline with his, but he recovered. And so that was great. So you get your brain back online, get that neuroscience working for you, get those deep breaths in. You will inspire others just because you are not a jerk out in the world.
Wow, that is beautiful. So I'm also going to press this button for you.
That was easy.
Thank you, my beautiful Dell. So, Ken, we just before the show talked about book now I want to pronounce that word, and now it's going to come out funny. Book compilations. Oh, no, it came out right. Okay, wait. This button is for me.
That was easy.
Because sometimes when I want to pronounce that word, it doesn't come out the right way. But we were speaking about book compilations. Can you tell us about your book compilations and your chapters that you have done in the book, and the same with Dell? Um, so just a few things that you can mention around about in print form. You have now also a way to inspire others.
Yeah, well, I had written a chapter in a book as a collaboration with a number of authors. The book is called "Making Waves: Creating a Ripple Effect," and I wrote about mindset and why mindset is so powerful, and it's one of and also about the fact, one of the things that's a pet peeves for me in the entrepreneurial world is that, when it comes to beliefs, for the most part, many entrepreneurs enter the entrepreneurial world, or immediately with the belief, because that is what they have been taught, that it needs to be difficult, it needs to be hard, it needs to be a struggle, it needs to be a sacrifice, it needs to be suffering, and in actual fact, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. When we actually begin to really understand the true power of mindset, and when I say mindset, ultimately it's what you're predominantly thinking about most of the time. When you and a belief is simply a thought that you have thought over and over and over and over and over until it becomes a belief. Now, if you have the belief, and again, in the entrepreneurial world, with all the greatest intentions, so often it is one of the major things that's spoken about is, listen, there's a certain element of suffering, there's a certain element of sacrifice, struggle, and all of these things. And again, you hear that over and over. And so now what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs is they equate sacrifice, struggle, suffering, stress with success. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have your challenges. Yes, I agree. You're going to have your challenges. Yet when you begin to frame those challenges as growth spurts, as inspirational, as impactful, and wonderful lessons as well, now you can actually identify your business as enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, feeling joy even through the difficult times. And there's a and there's such and this is one of the things that I emphasized on as well, is that there are so many entrepreneurs out there as well, and individuals alike. I mean, let's face it, ultimately we're all entrepreneurs because we're all in this business called life. And so many entrepreneurs, individuals, are seeking the external acquisitions. They're seeking the external acquisitions. So, and when we're seeking those external acquisitions, it will never be long lasting joy. It will be very, very temporary, simply because it is external. Because your natural state, the natural state of an individual, the natural state of an individual is happiness already. It's joy already. It's peace already. That's the natural state of everyone. The essence of each and every individual is that. The thing is, though, people have created so many veils that actually cover that up. So why do you essentially, feel that joy when you acquire something so temporarily? It's not because you actually acquired it. It's actually because when it did happen in that moment, or for a very short moment, you dropped your veils. In that moment, you were no longer thinking about, oh, what do I need to be doing in the future? Oh, look at all the things that's happened to me in the past. You actually brought yourself to the present for that temporary moment. You dropped the veils and you allowed your true essence to be unveiled. Yet the veils come up very quickly. The veils come up very quickly. Again, and what happens? Okay, so what's the next thing? Now, there's nothing wrong in those those acquisitions and having the ambition to achieve all of those things. Yet it what is absolutely necessary is understanding that you do not need to be attached to them. Meaning that you don't identify with those. They're not part of your identity and who you truly are. And getting into that, we're not going to get into that detail now. Yet just very simply, let's take an entrepreneur. Many times their identity is so wrapped around their business and they're so attached to it, that if they lose that business and it's gone, and let's be very clear, businesses can be gone in a flash. One day they're here, tomorrow they're not, potentially. And if your identity is so wrapped up in that, all of a sudden you're going to feel a huge void. So I like to teach about that detachment from anything that really is of this world. Whether that is, and it's a hard pill to swallow for many, because I say, even, when it comes to even with your kids, you don't want to be attached. Again, simply because, and again, it doesn't mean you don't show love and you don't have compassion. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, your children could be gone in a flash for one reason or another. At a certain time in life, they're not really a huge part of your life. This happens to so many women, and all of a sudden, it's like, my identity's been wrapped up in this all my life, and now who am I? So these are some of the things that I've touched on.
So I actually have a lot of goosebumps because I remember when my children moved to New Zealand. I was for a little while. My son is still here, but my grandson is with his mum, and my grandson was like everything to me. I saw him from the
Mm.
first day he was born. I saw him every day. And for a little while after they left, I struggled. I struggled. They were already not. I was not a mum per se because my children are out of the house, out. But I was a hands-on grandmother. So I
Yeah.
struggled. I struggled, and that was also the reason why I lost the weight, because the New Zealand government, if your body mass index (BMI) is more than 35%, you cannot get a working permit. So I lost the weight
Wow.
so that I can get a working permit, and then I could not fly out to New Zealand to go and work there because COVID happened. So it was so, Joaquin, I exactly know what you're saying. Thank you so much for that. My beautiful Dale, and for you, your book compilations.
My book, well, I was a collaborator in a book called Next Level Your Life. And the story I wrote was called Restoring the Years the Locust Ate. And of course, this is a biblical reference. But what happened was the period from 2011 to 2021, that decade, was kind of a decade of a lot of downhill for me, hitting a bottom right about the middle of 2016, and then a lot of ups and downs coming back up. That's really what the whole story was about. And so, 2012, I went through an incident called TGA, transient global amnesia. There was just a case where I blanked out I lost about a day's worth of memories. And it was just nothing physical was going on or anything. It just, the mind just erased that last days of memory. And that sort of freaked me out for one thing. I've never heard of that, but apparently it's not that uncommon. So anyway, so that was the first thing. And then a few months later, my wife hits me with asking for a divorce. And so that ends into about 3 years of a lot more downhill type stuff that ended up really, in my case, in September of 2015. I knew it was over, and it took another 6 months until March of 2016 to actually get finalized. And then 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, my previous job comes to me and says, "You've been talking about going to part time. We think April 1st will be a good time to do that." So I'm hit with a divorce, and then I'm hit with going to part time in my career within 2 weeks, type of thing. And I'm going, this is not what it was planned. And yes, I've been asking to go to part time, but not at that particular time and everything. Financially, it was a disaster. Just going through a divorce and then going to part time and work and everything. It was financially not the right thing to do, but it was one of those things that I felt like God had me on a path and was leading me down a path, and He was actually kind of challenging me. Dale, you've been saying you want this. Do you really want it? I'm opening the door for you. And so I stepped through it, and the return was not as easy as what I thought it should be or anything like that. But I met my new bride in 2021. We got married in 2021, and it's been 3 wonderful years. And I can see now, yeah, it was the right thing all the way around. And then getting into like I said, that was part of that 30-year journey that I was on that started way back in 1992 and ended up in 2022 with the word calling. And I really feel like God has me set on that path of helping other people find and follow their calling. That's why I'm here on earth, is to do that. I'm here to inspire calling.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And the photograph on your Facebook with you and your wife's wedding is beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that. So for me, when I go through my Monarch Butterfly program, I normally ask the ladies if they could, because you're in a frame, a beautiful frame, a painting, you're in that, and then you cannot see what's really happening on the painting because you are in the frame. But if you step out of the frame and you can step a few steps back, So in that case, looking in your life, at your life, that certain things had to happen so that certain other things can change and you can change and happen. And yes, I do have quite a lot of ladies said, wow, they never thought about that, because when you are in the picture, you don't see the details of the overall painting. So thank you so much for sharing that, Adele. So my beautiful Ken, we've got 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes. Can you
Already.
can you tell me, do you have some tips for entrepreneur, but not just for the person, but also for his staff, to make sure that there's not a lot of retention and that the company is healthy? Can I maybe say that? Do you have a few tips for them?
So that the company's healthy. Well, so first and foremost, like I said, to me, it's everything boils down to mindset. Honestly, and it is one of the first things to look at. So if I were to take one aspect that I think every entrepreneur needs to look at if they really want to have a thriving business, one of the first things they have to do, and many do not go into detail in doing this, is actually looking at their values first. It's so essential. And why is it so essential? It's very important to identify what your core values are as an individual. So if you are a business owner, a founder, and looking at your core values, the values that are most important to you. Why do I say this? Because even as an individual, those are going to intertwine into your business. So if, for instance, and why do I want you to go into these values? Because it's going to make your life so much more easier when it comes to making decisions when you're going about your daily business. When you identify those core values, so let's say that there's honesty, there's integrity, there's I don't know, fun. A lot of people forget about the value of having fun throughout their career, their business, enjoying it, being joyful, and all of these wonderful values. And there are tons and tons of values. It doesn't mean that you can't have all of them. Yet there are going to be some really strong ones that are going to be your top values. And identifying what your top three values. So top three values for me are authenticity, joy, and freedom. So what does that mean to me when I'm going about my day? When am I going about my business? Those three values need to be intact. If for some reason I find myself, I don't know, being incongruent with my authenticity, not being able to be myself, not being able to speak what I want to speak, and attempting to be someone else that I'm not, I'm being incongruent with my values. Honesty, integrity. When it comes to honesty, integrity in business, the fact of the matter is, if you're in business, there are going to be opportunities that arise every so often that might not have the integrity that's supposed to be there, the honesty. Yet, if it truly is a core value for you, and something does come up, it's going to be very easy to say, no, that's not for me. That's not for my business. That's not the way I do business. Yet to be able to do that, it's really important to I identify what they are. So it takes a bit of time and an exercise to actually really start to identify what they are. And some of them are going to be very, very obvious to you because you know what floats your boat, what really is integral, a part of your life. You know that if you and again, I'm going to mention the fun part for the simple reason that I think there are so many entrepreneurs that have forgotten how to actually have fun while doing business, while living their life, because ultimately your life is not just your business. And this is where, if I could mention the word sacrifice, which, many business people say, but you gotta, it's all about the sacrifice. Well, in actual fact, it's not about the sacrifice, because when you say sacrifice, you are saying that something is being taken away from you to be able to do something else. Now, if something is, but nothing needs to be taken away from you. It's the same thing for relationships. People talk about relationships as a sacrifice, a marriage as a sacrifice. I asked the question: who wants to be in a relationship that is a sacrifice?
Mm.
There's a big
Yeah.
difference about doing something from a place of sacrifice or doing something from a place of love.
Yeah.
I do something for my partner because I love them and I want to do it. It's not nothing's being taken away from me by doing it. I'm not sacrificing anything. And understanding that in the business world as an entrepreneur, and realizing, okay, I just really want to enjoy the journey. The cliche of all cliches is what I say is enjoy the journey. It's a truth. It's as simple as that.
I love it. You gave so many golden nuggets in that piece. Thank you so much, my beautiful Ken. My beautiful Dell, you are you also working with individuals, but with business as well? And what is the core values that, or do you also start with your values when you do the coaching part?
Well, I definitely agree with Ken that values are critical and they're important. I think the first place to start is to get the calling piece right. What's the mission? What's the why? What are you trying to achieve with your business? What's the purpose of it? In my case, my Coach Dale business is really just to make the world a better place and survive financially while doing it. I'm not trying to lose money, but I'm not trying to be out there making $1 million a year or anything like that either. I'm out there, I tithe a bunch of my time in my business just because people need the help and the support. And so from that point of view, if you know your why and if you know your ultimate goal, your ultimate purpose and such like that, the other things fall into line. Values is one of my keys in my 4 keys of my calling framework. So it is a very critical piece as far as I'm concerned. Getting all those straight, whether you're doing it at the beginning or as you're growing, as you're going through the business, getting it straight before you start adding more people into the business or before you start bringing on partners that maybe aren't in agreement with you, or before you start working with other people, even like a virtual assistant or something like that, knowing what your why is and knowing who you are and knowing how you are going to get there through your values and such like that, those are critical pieces.
I love that. Thank you, my beautiful Dell. Can you give us your golden nugget?
My golden nugget: remember to laugh a lot more, especially when you can laugh at yourself.
I love it. I love it. And you, my beautiful Dale?
My golden nugget, I always like this. What's the difference between an inheritance and a legacy? Well, in English, it's one word of 2 characters. Okay. An inheritance is what you leave to someone, a legacy is what you leave in someone.
I love it. So, gentlemen, ask me, Sanet, what's yours?
Sanet, what's your golden nugget?
Oh, thank you for asking, Dale. My golden nugget is if your why is big enough, you can do anything, you can do everything. And I have proof of the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you said why, and you were talking about your why, Dale. Then I knew I'm going to ask you to ask me my golden nugget. So, my beautiful viewers on E360, I hope that you have enjoyed our amazing session, and I hope you've learned from these incredible gentlemen some inspiration and how to bring inspiration into your life. And then, as I can take something from Ken, is to smile and laugh often and have fun. And if I can take something from Dale, is to know why your why you are here on earth. So, my beautiful ones, I hope you've loved being on this show and looking and watching us. Thank you, my beautiful Tanzanite heroes. All the gentlemen that was supposed to be on the show is from the Tanzanite heroes. But I also want to say congratulations to the Diamond Beauties Forever group, ladies. We are 3 years old today. Woohoo! I'm so excited. Thank you, Dale. We are so excited, and in our group, and we actually want to do something for the Tanzanite Euros. We started a year ago with a half an hour. We call it a diamond tea party, where a lady hosts, and then anybody can phone in. Because I've done now 491 coffee chats in 2 years and 7 months. 95% of the people I talk to is lonely. So we wanted to do, and we call it Mrs. Spots. Mrs. Spots is from Beauty and the Beast, but it's now so popular that there's more ladies on different time zone. So today we're starting with 15 ladies, not 7 anymore, but 15 ladies, 3 sessions a day, all over the world, where anybody can phone in and be seen and be heard. So we want to do something in the Tanzanite Euros. Scott is going to look for on that for us. So maybe we will have more gentlemen creating pockets of gatherings with other gentlemen in the group. But we will talk about it. So thank you, my beautiful Ken and Dal, for being part of the Tanzanite Euros.
Absolutely.
And then may I ask you a question, please?
Yes,
Of course.
Will you have a dance with me?
of course we will.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. My beautiful viewers out there, will you have a dance with us? They said yes. They said yes. Here we go.
Walking on sunshine or dancing in the rain. Sprinkle me with fairy dust so I can fly away. Smiling
I
at
love
you
it,
only more, squinting in the sun. Sprinkle me with fairy dust and cover me with love.